Hey y'all. Today we're going to talk about equations of a circle. We're going to first start with standard form. We'll do some problems recognizing what the radius and the center of the circle is. Then we'll get into some that are not in standard form, and then we'll tie in a little bit of some geometry in there with finding the equations of our circles. So we're going to do quite a few things with circles today. So make sure, as always, you're taking notes, paying attention, and all of those good things. So here we go. Let's start with the standard form of an equation. So this first equation right here is our standard form for an equation of a circle. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. Our center is based around the x and a y. So right here, our x and y, the center is 0, 0 because we don't have specified numbers there. And our radius is whatever this number here is. So they'll give us a number, you'll take the square root, and that'll give you the radius of the circle. Just some reminders, radius is half the distance across the circle, so it starts in the center, it's halfway across. Diameter is the whole distance across. So radius is half of the diameter. Now, our other formula, which it really isn't the other formula, it's just most circles will not be centered at 0, 0. They'll be centered somewhere else. So our center will be HK. And of course, we'll get into some examples. H and K represent numbers. Whatever this number here is, we'll take the square root, and that will give us our radius. So we're going to work with circles today, and these are the things that you need to remember. Formula for equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So let's start with a little mini word problem, not too bad. A certain Wi-Fi phone has a range of 30 miles in any direction. If the phone is 4 miles south and 3 miles west of headquarters, write an equation to represent the area within which the phone can operate via the Wi-Fi system. So I kind of got a little grid here, not the best one, but enough to get our point across. I got our grid going on here. Okay. So I drew in our XY coordinate plane, and let's go through and see what the problem wants us to do again. So it says a certain Wi-Fi phone has a range of 30 miles in any direction. This is our radius. So wherever the center of our circle is, we're going to go around 30 miles in any direction. It says if the phone is 4 miles south. So I'm going to start here at the origin, and I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 4 miles south. Then it says we're going to go 3 miles west. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put a point right here. And this is going to represent the center of our circle. And the center of our circle, order pairs, this is -3, -4. So the center of our circle is -3, -4, based off the problem that we read. Now we want to write an equation that represents the area within which the phone can operate via the Wi-Fi system. So it has a range of 30 miles in any direction. Now, on this particular picture, I cannot go up 30, over 30. So we're going to have to use our imagination, but that's going to give me a really big circle. So again, this is not the circle that we're working with. I'm just trying to illustrate that we are working with a circle here. Okay, so of course, this circle is going to go 30 miles every single direction, but I'm on a sheet of paper here, but it's enough to get our point across. So 30 is our radius. So the equation that we'll be looking for, let's write our formula down. So I'm going to write the formula over here. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Okay, sorry for the little scribble there, but here we go. So we're going to plug in what we know. H and K represents the center of your circle. My center is -3, -4. We're going to change these signs because it's already a negative here and it's a negative here. 2 negatives make a positive. Negative here, 2 negatives make a positive. So my center is x plus 3 squared plus y plus k. And k is 4, so we're going to put in 4. So it's going to be y plus 4 squared equals, and then r squared is your radius. My radius is 30 miles in each direction. So it's 30 miles in each direction. So this is going to be 30 squared. And if I write that all out, my final answer And I will try to make sure I write nice and careful this time. Plus y plus 4 squared equals 900. So that is going to be our final answer. So this is our final answer. We have the center of our circle is -3, -4, down here where my pen is. The center of my circle is -3, -4. My radius is 30 miles in each direction, and 30 times 30 is 900. So this is how you write the equation of the circle. You need the center of the circle, and then after you find the center of the circle, you take your radius and you're going to square. So we're going to go through and we're going to put some examples in. Make sure it's not a bad idea to go ahead and rewrite your formula. And we're going to go through and we're going to set up the equation of a circle based off of the given facts that we're given. So here we go. The first one says, write an equation for each circle. They give us the center and they give us the radius. If you have the center and the radius, then you have everything that you need. So for this first one, our equation is going to be x minus 4 squared plus y minus 9 squared equals 36. How did I get that? Well, they gave us the center, so you're going to take the opposite and go ahead and plug that in. Take 6 times 6, and that gives you 36. So inside the parentheses gives you your center. Take your radius and square it to get the last number here. All right, let's do another one. The next one's going to be x plus 2 squared plus y plus 1 squared equals 81. Again, take the opposite of this. It goes into your equation, your formula that's up here. That gives you your center. So HK is the center, and then you take the square root of that, and that'll give you your last number. All right, number 3, x plus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 16. And the last one, hopefully you're picking up on the pattern here. This, you don't have to put x minus 0 here. That's not necessary. So you could put x minus 0, but you probably wouldn't see it. So I'm just going to say x squared. Okay, keep right on going. Plus y plus 6 squared equals. Now we are doing the square root of 35 squared. That's the square root of 35 times the square root of 35. The square root of 35 times the square root of 35 is just 35. Feel free to verify that in any kind of calculator tool. But you take your radius, square the radius, and that'll give you your number that's over here. So 6 times 6 is 36, 9 times 9 is 81, 4 times 4 is 16, and the square root of 35 squared is just 35. Now I'm going to flip it. So for these examples, I gave you the center and the radius, and we created the formula. Now I'm going to give you the formula, and we're going to go back and backtrack and figure out what the center is, or what center was, and then what the radius was. So we're working backwards. I'm giving you the formula. We're going to find the center and the radius. So our center, you read off the center by what's right here. There's no numbers here, so my center is 0, 0. And I'm actually going to go through and find all the centers first. Number 2, look here. So my center is going to be 3, 0. There's no number here. Take the opposite of this. My center is going to be 3, 0. Number 3, take the opposite again. So my center is 5, -2. And this one, find the center here. My center is 0, 14. And that's that. Now I'm going to go through and find the radius for each of these. You find the radius by taking the square root of the number that it's equal to. So this is going to give me the radius. So the square root of 75 does not work out evenly, so I'm just going to say the square root of 75. The square root of 4 is a perfect square number, that's 2. The square root of 16 works out, that's 4. And the square root of 144 is 12. So just like that, we've been able to go through, and either I gave you the center and you found the radius, or I gave you the formula and you went through and gave me the center and the radius back. Now, some other things that I can do with this. So I've just been giving you the radius so far. But not only can I just give you the radius, but I also can give you the diameter and ask you to come up with the equation of a circle. So we're going to go through some of those. A little bit more involved. We're going to have to recall a couple of formulas from way back when, but we'll be able to get there. We'll be able to get to our answer. Okay. So here is the first one we're going to take a look at. All right. Write the equation for each circle given the endpoints of the diameter. So the two things we need for the equation of a circle, we need the radius and we need the center. This one's a little different because it's not giving us anything. However, we still can find what we need. So if they give us the endpoints of the diameter, just a little visual here. This is not the perfect thing. I'm just kind of tell you what we're looking for. They give us the endpoint. So they're telling us one endpoint is 5, -7. And the other endpoint is -2, -9. And we're going to go through it and we're still going to create the equation of a circle. So the first thing I need to do is figure out the radius. So if they give us the diameter, I need to figure out what the halfway point is, what the length of that is, because that'll give me my radius. So we're going to bring up, again, the distance formula. So it may have been a while since you've used distance formula. Our distance formula is the following: x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So we're going to find the total distance. Once we find the total distance, we're going to cut that in half, and that'll give me the length of my radius. So distance formula, if you need to label your x1s and x2s, depending on where you are, this is x1, this is y1, this is x2, and this is this is y2. Okay. So if you need to take your numbers and plug them into the formula, there is nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you are plugging them into the correct spot. So it says to do x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. You go through, you can type this in any kind of graphing device. I definitely will probably use Desmos, type all my stuff in. Once you do that, I got 7.28. And this gives me the distance of the diameter. So this gives me the length of the diameter. I don't want to know the length of the diameter. I need the radius. So I'm going to cut this in half. And that gives me 3.64 as the length of my radius. So at least now we have the radius. Now I need to go about and see if we can find the midpoint. I'm going to have to use the midpoint formula so I can find the center of my radius. So the midpoint formula, again, may be a while since you've used it, but this is the midpoint formula. Midpoint is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So we're going to go in and plug in our x's and y's and see what we get. So this tells me to do 5 plus -2 divided by 2. And it tells me to do -7 plus -9 divided by 2. This is going to give me the center of my circle. So I got 3/2, -8. So this is the center of our circle. That's the center. Now, the two things you need to write the formula for a circle, you need the center and you need the radius. So it looks like we have both pieces of information that we need. So we'll go ahead and plug in. This is going to be h and this is going to be k. So we're going to have x minus 3/2 squared plus y plus 8 squared. Now I need to take this radius and you need to square it. Oh, sorry, let me slide up a little bit there. We need to take the radius and we need to square it. So 3.64 squared. Again, 3.64 squared. You need to square this number, type it in Desmos. It'll give you the following. So this is the equation of our circle. So this is the equation for our circle. And all that we were given was the endpoints of our diameter. So we had to recall the distance formula, which is right here that I'm circling. And we had to recall the midpoint formula. So we needed both of those information. We need both of those formulas to help us find the missing information. We're definitely going to go through and try another one. I'm only going to give you the endpoints of the diameter, and we're going to go through and do the same process again. So we need the distance formula and we need the midpoint formula. So these are the two new points that we're going to look at. -6, 4, and 4, 8. So those are the 2 points that we're looking at. So first things first, let's do the distance formula. Okay. It tells us to subtract our x's, square it, and then subtract our y's, square it. So this is going to be 4 minus -6 squared plus 8 minus 4 squared. Okay, plug that in Desmos, and I got the following. Now, this gives me the length of the diameter. I don't want to know the length of the diameter. I need the radius. So I need to cut this in half. And once you type that into Desmos, it'll give you 5.39. And this is our radius. Now we need to use the midpoint formula so I can find the center of our circle. So midpoint, we're going to add the x's together, divided by 2. And then we're going to add the y's together, divided by 2. Once you do that, you get -1, 6. Again, use Desmos, probably the most effective and easiest thing for you to do when you're trying to type these numbers in. This is going to give me our center. So 2 things we need the radius and the center of our circle. Now that we have both pieces of information, we have enough to write the equation for the circle. So this is going to give me my h and my k. So that's going to give me x plus 1 squared plus y minus 6 squared. Take this number and you need to square it. So 5.39 squared. So we need to square this number. It gives us about 29. So this is the equation of our circle. Again, the formula, you should have written it down, but just to compare to make sure you're good to go. H and K give you your center of the circle. And then this number gives you your radius. So since 29 is here, if you took the square root of 29, it would give you your radius back, the length of your radius back. And this gives you the center of the circle. Rough little drawing here. Again, rough little drawing here, okay? So my center is -1, 6. So -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my center of the circle is somewhere up here, and that means I will go around 29 spaces. Again, this is not 29 because I'm on paper, but just for a visual, it gives you the center, and then it gives you the radius all the way around the circle. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to write the equation of a circle that is not in standard form.